Hello world! Welcome to the newest segment of This Is Not Fake News.
Batman and Robin here to give you the clues on the news.
Yes, now last time you saw us we were promoting this here. We feared that Trump was going to do away with Social Security because he cut the payroll tax, and he said he was going to continue to do it. But hooray! President Biden, Vice President Harris, how about that? So we don't need this anymore. His fascism is out, but we have a new form of fascism following him.
We have the Republican Party that won't let up.
That is right.
They just keep on going one step further on the road that Trump started, and they are still looking at Trump as their leader, somehow, which is crazy.
The main threat that's going on right now is...
we want to worry about our rights here in this country, that they're not taken away by the American Taliban.
As you see, down here I drew a bigger picture of Mussolini's fascist axe. That was his symbol. And this is a sign which protesters carry. The axe is cutting it. Now as you look around our divided states of America, I really can't call them united, but all these states have passed, actually not proposing, but actually passed laws that attack and obstruct the First Amendment. Right here, North Dakota, South Dakota, Montana, Wisconsin.
Indiana.
Well, Indiana did both. They obstructed the protesters' rights, and they're obstructing voting rights. Okay. Now, what did Hitler do when he took over?
Well, there were no more elections after Hitler took over.
Right.
And people were beat up in the street if they said one word against Hitler.
Right.
And so we're just very thankful for all those protesters that got out there during the 4 years of Trump. 4 years. That at least that was some kind of pushback against what he wanted to do.
Right.
Which was to pull a Hitler, basically.
Right. So, well, anybody that thinks this is a hyperbole, it's not. This symbol was originally... This symbol was originally an Egyptian peace sign going way back in time. Hitler did not design that, but he took it, bastardized it.
He switched it.
Well, now for all eternity, it represents fascism, tyranny. These GOP are kind of like Nazis, yeah,
they're wannabe Nazis, exactly.
Right.
I mean, what else can you say when they invaded the Capitol? Tried to take over the country. The same thing Hitler did in 1922 or 23, I'm not sure exact year.
The brown shirts.
The push in Munich. And at that time, Hitler was actually arrested. He was convicted. He was put in prison, but it was like a Ivy Collar prison. It was like he had all sorts of privileges, and he wrote Mein Kampf in prison. And then, of course, as many people have said, an attempted coup that doesn't work is the rehearsal for a coup that will work. And so that's what we have to worry about in this country.
And we saw it on television. We saw it. I mean,
well, it was just lucky that they didn't murder Pence and Pelosi.
Your mask keeps falling down.
I'm sorry about that. But we've been both vaccinated, be assured of that.
We've been both vaccinated. Now,
we're just doing this to show you that you all should wear masks also because of the Delta variant.
All these states with the swastikas are states that have passed laws that make it hard to vote. Now, the most ridiculous states, we're going to start with Oklahoma. I mean, Oklahoma passed laws that obstruct voting rights. They've obstructed the First Amendment, by making it
possible for somebody to run over a protester and then not be charged. The protester isn't allowed to even sue. So there was an incident, as everyone knows, in Charlottesville during Trump's administration. Heather Heyer, a protester, was killed. That was in 2000. That was in 2017, I believe. And she was killed by a protester who went crazy and just decided he wanted to kill somebody who was exercising their First Amendment rights, which are protected by the Constitution.
They are protected.
And she was killed, and luckily the authorities did actually bring charges against this person. But Oklahoma would have it so that Florida also. That's what.
Well, we're going to get to Florida, but let's
has it so that they do not have to bring charges.
Right.
And that the person run over, or their heirs, if any, would not be able to even sue in a civil court.
They've made it easy to get away with running over protesters in 3 states.
It's an attempt to put a collar on the First Amendment, basically.
So from Oklahoma, we're going to go over to Iowa, and all 3 again. Obstructing the First Amendment, obstructing voting rights, and making it easy to run over a protester. As you see the car hitting the protester there. And then the next ridiculous state, we go over to Georgia. Now, Georgia, isn't this ridiculous? If you bring a bottle of water to Grandma, who's 95 years old and is waiting in line to vote, if you bring her a bottle of water, you could be arrested.
Yeah, it's one of the most outrageous things. Now, the thing of it is that it is so obviously crazy and stupid and inhumane and just a rotten thing to do. And it's the kind of thing Nazis would do, right?
Yes.
But actually, Nazis probably wouldn't have any problem with knocking Grandma to the ground and putting a foot on her face. But the bottom line is, though, that they engineer this type of stuff in Georgia. They have people of color have to wait in line for 7 hours, whereas in precincts where the white people vote, they get to go right in and right out again. And it's called discrimination, and it's supposed to be outlawed actually by the 14th Amendment, although because it's not completely worded to be inclusive of every kind of discrimination, there's always a damn dispute about it.
That is correct,
People
Robin.
should not be discriminated against in voting.
Right.
And that is a fact, and that was part of the Voting Rights Act, which John Roberts, the Chief Justice, desecrated a few years ago.
Good trouble.
Good trouble by the gentleman from Georgia, the congressman who's now passed away,
Right.
John Lewis. I met John Lewis once, Batman.
Oh, you did?
We talked about that briefly. I just got a chance to shake his hand. And
Where was that, Robin?
that was at an event. It was part of a third-party event, but he showed up because he just wanted to see what was going on. And I had a chance to thank him for his service to the country and service for civil rights. And I was very pleased to do that. I was probably one of just 100 people that year who probably did. But it was before he was a congressman. But a great man, and truly a loss to us all that he passed away recently. And so, in his honor, we must continue the struggle. We must make sure that people of color, women, that everyone who is a citizen, no matter what their religious affiliation, if they're a citizen, that they get the same right to vote.
Yeah, and we're going to move to the next incredibly ridiculous state, which is Florida. There you go again. Made it easy to get away with running over a protester, obstructing the First Amendment, and obstructing voting rights.
Yeah, they're one of the worst.
Yeah.
As far as what they're trying to do. In Georgia, of course, they are actually trying to make it so that they can reverse the result of the election afterwards. Florida also is trying to do that. In fact,
Yeah,
a lot of these
and their governor is a little flaky, if you ask me.
Well, I would say worse than that, Batman. You're being pretty nice. We've discussed this a few times.
He's a fascist.
I would actually call him a murderer because of the people he's killed by his refusal to allow the school boards to have mask mandates for the children. And children have gone to the hospital. The only question is, can somebody actually pin a direct murder of a child? A child caught the COVID and died as a result of it, and we could put that directly to him, and then he would be an official murderer in the state of Florida, and someone could charge him with that. Well, you know, we've talked about that a lot, about mobsters trying to get out of responsibility for murders that they ordered, and they claimed that, oh, you're not guilty of that murder, you know, because they didn't actually participate in it physically, but they ordered it to take place.
Right. So, yeah, but I can't think of anything more ridiculous than no bottle of water for Grandma. Okay, now we're going to move.
Give them peanut brittle. You know?
Louisiana is another bad state. Mississippi too. Well, anyone that's on here that's tagged is got some bad stuff going.
You can just about, except mostly the Northeast and the West Coast are free of this kind of.
With the exception of New Hampshire.
Yeah, we're going to have to.
Well, Massachusetts too. It's hard to believe. Well, Wisconsin's been going that direction for a long time, and when they had Scott Walker and all that. But let's get to the absolute,
Texas, huh?
the absolute 666 state, of the most ridiculous, the most insane state of the United States. I should say divided states is Texas. Maybe Tex-ass is the way we should say it. Tex-ass.
Texastan.
Texastan.
Because it's like the Taliban are running.
Right. They obstruct the First Amendment, and they
voting
are
rights.
obstructing voting rights, and
they're the poster child for voting rights.
And what did I miss?
Recently they passed a law which most scholars think is an absolute abomination as far as, Now, Batman, you and I have been the best proponents of law and order all our lives.
Right.
And we have been accused of vigilantism. But we've always made citizens' arrests based on evidence.
Right.
Now this Texas law has tried to, quote, deputize or make agents of the state anyone who wants to accuse a woman of having had an abortion. But an abortion is not a crime. It's guaranteed by the right to privacy that is inherent in the Constitution, that the Founding Fathers, if they had written it explicitly somewhere, it would be in one of the amendments or in the clauses, but it is implicitly in there by the fact that the government is not supposed to search your papers, for example, without a warrant, without actual genuine evidence of having committed a crime called probable cause. But we don't have to go into all of that, these niceties. The fact is that by the law of the land as now constituted, it is a constitutional right for a woman to have an abortion. And Texas has tried to make that so that...
No, they haven't tried. They've done it.
Yeah, they still might not get away with it. But they have got away with it now because the abortion clinics had to shut down because of the chilling effect of the law.
The Supreme Court.
Yeah, the Supreme Court refusing to look at it. Justice Sotomayor said that this was a crazy workaround, basically, to try to get around the fact that they are deputizing, in a way, people to harass or to try to get bounties, exactly.